channel on YouTube. Pun 100% intended there, because today we're going to be talking about how to use your dopes to do mill holds, MOA holds, holdovers. It's all the same stuff, all right? I'm going to show you how to do that today, because that's why you clicked on the video. Either that or you just wanted to see this lovely face again. Either way, I appreciate you clicking on the video. If you could give me a like, a comment, maybe even a subscribe, that'd be freaking awesome. If not, I hope you get stuck in traffic. So before we can get into our subject, you got to have something, and that is dopes for your gun. So either a dope card or a ballistic calculator, something along those lines, so you can do these holds. If you don't know how to do that, or you don't have that, luckily for you, I made this sick ass video a while back, so hit pause on this one, watch that one. All right, fast forward and we're back. In general, mill holds isn't some scientific secret sniper super duty kind of stuff, all right? I mean, it's a little scientific if you really break it down, but at the end of the day, it's pretty easy. I'm by no means the brightest crayon in the crock pot, you know what I mean? And I can get it, so I believe that anybody can get it, so don't be intimidated. So I made this sick ass graphic to kind of depict what's going on with the relationship of your bullet and your line of sight when you're doing holds, right? So as we can see here, we have our line of sight. That's that blue line, and that's like representative of our center crosshair, right? Center of our scope, where we're looking. Then we have that orange line. That's going to be your bullet's trajectory, okay? And where those two meet, that's going to be your zero. And this is kind of representative of like 100-yard zero, all right? But you could have something like this. Whoa, this guy's got 2 zeros. Pretty wicked. That's pretty common with like guys running LPVOs, magnified red dots, and things like that. So you might be asking yourself, Rob, is more zeros better? Well, it kind of depends what you're going to be doing with your gun. What's the application of your gun. So it could be better for you, it could not be. One thing I will say with having 2 zeros though is that in between those two distances, in between those 2 zeros, you may have to do a hold under, all right? Which may, if you've seen my reticle video, you might see that a lot of reticles don't really accommodate doing hold unders very well. I know in my LPVO it doesn't really, so that could be an issue, just fair warning. But this kind of sparked an idea in my head, like, what if you had an offset red dot and you had 2 different zeros on that? You could have 4 zeros, and then you could just use like one hold on each optic for hundreds of yards. So I don't know if that would work or not. But now let's move that target out a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so as we're moving it out, you can see that good old-fashioned gravity is dragging our bullet down, because gravity is a bitch. But it's part of our reality, so we got to account for it, right? And we can see our line of sight. We're still aiming center mass, but we're missing the target with our bullet. So all we're gonna do is raise our freaking gun up. And that's pretty much all we're doing for holds, guys, is just raising our gun up to account for the bullet's drop. Now you can see we're aiming, top of the head or whatever you want to call it, and we're hitting center mass. Now let's see what it kind of looks like in our actual reticle. So for this example, I just made a regular mill dot reticle, pretty common type of reticle. And if you're shooting MOA, it's going to be the same thing. You got the breakdown right here. So in between, from the center crosshair to that first dot, the center of that dot is going to be 1 mil. Those mil dots are 0.2. That'll be important later. If you're shooting MOA, it's going to be the same thing, just different numbers, right? So instead of being 1 mil at that first dot, it might be 4 MOA or something like that. Okay, so don't be all butthurt that it's in mils and not MOA. This is going to be the same hold. It's going to look the same in your reticle, okay, at the end of the day. So let's say we're shooting a target at 400 yards, right? What we're going to basically do, just like we were doing before, we're going to raise our gun up until that 2 mil marker is center mass on our target, okay? So that's the center of that second mill dot. That'll be your 2 mils. Put that center mass of your target, pull the trigger, badinkums. If you don't know what badinkums means, it's basically something you say after something really cool or really gangster happens. You know what I mean? Like hitting a target first try at 400 yards. Badinkums. You get your crush's phone number. Badinkums. The Domino's guy says you were looking good from the bushes today. Badinkums. I'm looking good today. Use that phrase how you will. Badinkums. All right, so now let's say we have a different hold, right? Maybe we have a 1.1 mil hold. Say we're shooting at like 300 yards, 1.1. Now we're gonna have to do a little bit of critical thinking. We know that these mil dots are 0.2. We split that in half. What do we get? Good, 0.1. Sorry, I didn't mean to go all Dora on you there. 0.1, so now we know, all right, center of that mil dot's 1 mil. If I go to the edge of that mil dot, that's 1.1, right? So we'll put that center mass of our target, fire when ready, badinkums, another impact. Now let's say we have a weird hold like 1.3, and it's not really indicated on our reticle anywhere. Okay, so now what do? Well, we're gonna have to use our imagination for this one.
Wow, the land of make-believe.
That target's gonna be floating in there, okay? We're gonna have to imagine where that 1.3 line would be. So from this scenario, you know, we can see that some reticles out there might have an advantage over others by having smaller increments in between. If you're not very good at imagining where that 1.3 is, something you can do is see, you know, maybe that stadia line down is sitting around the pelvic region. So now maybe you can use, hey, I can use that point of aim. I'm just gonna put that stadia line on the pelvis. That way I can really know where I'm holding and then pull the trigger then. Now let's say we introduce a little bit of wind to the equation. All right, say we're at 600 and we have a full value right to left 5 mile per hour wind. Okay, so that wind's hitting us perpendicular to the direction we're shooting, and we're gonna need to hold into the wind 0.7. Okay, always hold into the wind. All right, sounds obvious, but you know, you get out there shooting and next thing you know, you're off by double your wind call. Hold into the wind. And for a reticle like this, we're gonna see again, we're gonna be floating in free space. So what we're gonna have to do is battleship this.
Oh.
Okay, so we're gonna have to get our whole elevation hold just like we were doing. And then we're gonna have to hold for our wind 0.7 as well and try to just figure out where those line up. And again, in this scenario, you can see where maybe a grid type reticle or the wind dot Christmas tree type reticle, Christmas tree ass reticles, as I've said in the video before, might have an advantage when doing these holds. Okay, if you got a reticle like this though, it's still possible to get holds. It's just a little bit tougher. All right, so one last tip for you. Let's say you have an 8 mil hold. Okay, so you need to hold 8 mils, but you don't have that on your reticle. What are you gonna do? Well, one thing you can do, you know, you can dial on 5 mils onto your elevation turret and then hold down 3. At this point, you might be thinking, Rob, why wouldn't I just dial on my elevation then? So maybe that closest target, your hold starts at 5 mils and it only gets further from there. So maybe you want to dial on 5 mils and then you can do subsequent holds for those further targets. All in all, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. Holds are pretty simple once you get out there and do them. And that's going to be the best way to learn, is to get out there and do it. So get out there, go shoot with the boys, train hard, have fun, work out, be kind to each other, love your mother, take care of your lawn, pet your puppies. Okay, that's all the positive things I can really think of right now. But I do appreciate you guys watching the channel. If you could give me a like, comment, subscribe, that would be freaking awesome, and I would be forever in your debt. Bobby Boomsticks is signing off. So adios, motherfucker.
That's Brad.
That's Brad, boy.